So when I sent that message back to you, when I was saying I'm still stuck between these two picks, you're like, oh shit.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Make sure they can see that eagle. You know.
You got to get that right.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco. As always, I am joined by my guy Brandon. What is going on, brother? And it is Philly the podcast, man. Look, it is mock series draft pick number 5. We have Bengals Jim in the building to go ahead and let us know what's on the mind of Bengal Nation, Who Dat Nation, or Who Dat Nation. That's what it is for you guys, right? There we go. I want to make sure I don't get that wrong. I don't want to get beat up in the first 5 minutes. But Jim, thank you so much for coming on, man. How are you doing today?
Man, great. My pleasure, man. I'm happy to be with you guys. This is going to be fun, man. So I'm good.
Thank you.
Definitely. So before we get into, any draft talk or any, football talk, let them know where they can find you, what you do over on your channel and everything. Because I was definitely checking it out. I love the channel. I love what you guys do over there. So definitely let them know.
Yeah. So like literally me and a bunch of buddies been tailgating together since 1993. So we got the longest continuous running tailgate in Cincinnati football history. Even this year, the first game of the year, first home game, we didn't have fans in the stands. So I have a customer downtown. We had a private lot. It holds 100 cars. We only had 40 cars in it. We had a Jumbotron. We had a drive-in tailgate to watch Bengals opening day in Cincinnati with a stadium right next door to us. So last March for the draft, we had, the Joe Burrow pick coming to number 1 pick. We already had our hotels ready to roll in Vegas. We were ready to go. And COVID shut it down. So we were like, man, what are we going to do, man? So we decided to do this virtual draft party. And we had no idea what we were doing. I've got a buddy of mine comes down from Toronto and tailgates. A guy from Brownsburg, Indiana tailgates with us. And we were just kind of BSing a little bit. Like, hey, let's do a draft party, man, virtually. And we had some local celebrities on. I've got contacted some old Bengal players. We were on from like 7 to 11 that night, and we had like 2,000 live viewers that night.
Wow.
That was all on YouTube. But since then, we've been doing a weekly show, and we don't know what we're doing, but we're having a blast. We've had on 24 former Bengal players, 2 current Bengal players, a lot of local media. Man, this has been fun. We're just nothing. Wow. We're just fans, man. We're just fans having fun with this. And
that's awesome.
All 3 platforms we've been using. So we've been streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So it's been fun, man. We're reaching out to people, not just in the Cincinnati tri-state or the country, man. They're just like Eagles fans. There's football fans across the world. I've been to London twice for football games, and man, we think soccer is big here in the States. Man, football in England and Europe is huge. And NFL football is huge. So this is fun, man. Without NFL football, without my Cincinnati Bengals, I wouldn't meet good people like you guys and everybody else in my life right now. This is what it's about, man. It's friends and family, no matter if we're playing on game day. Now, if you're the Steelers, now we wouldn't be being this nice, but
no, see, we're tied. We're a tie every time we play, so it's hard to hate.
I was at every one of those ties in person too. So no.
I can hear you because honestly, Brandon will tell you, man, I just kind of started this off a whim, and it just me and Brandon would be talking football, whether the cameras were on or off. So, like you said, it's been awesome being able to meet new people and hear different sides, of the fence, so to speak, because I don't know everything. So that's why I did this mock draft series, and it's been so far really cool. And we're only on pick number 5. So
right.
I know it's going to get a lot of fun. But so let's talk a little bit about your Bengals real quick. So like you said, last year, you guys probably had one of the biggest picks of your franchise, at least in the past, recent memory. Yeah, so, you guys got Joe Burrow. Unfortunately, things didn't last as long as you would want. But you guys got Zach Taylor. We had Press Taylor. We would have loved to have switched there. But, you guys got Zach Taylor. How do you feel about the direction of your organization, seeing Joe Burrows kind of flourish when he was able to play? What are your overall thoughts and feelings about this team?
Yeah, so I may be in the kind of the silent majority on this one, but the direction on the team, the arrow is pointing up, man. Now, I think, Joe Burrow comes back healthy with all the, Joe Mixon healthy, new scheme in that offensive line. I mean, you got to feel positive about that, right? The the one thing that I have some hesitation about Zach Taylor, this will be his third year. This will be his last and final year if he doesn't succeed. Because, coming in his first year from the Rams, I mean, he literally came in late, really late, because they won the Super Bowl that year. We were like last one to get a coach that year. He came in late. They already had their kind of draft board ready to go without a head coach. So that first year, really, he walked into a losing situation because the team was really bad, depleted, no depth anywhere. Last year was the first time since he's been here to be able to put his stamp on that draft. And obviously the year didn't go very well. A lot of losses the first 2 years, a lot of close losses, doesn't matter. An L's an L. So he's got to put it together this year, because I'm telling you, he's probably going to be in a game-to-game contract next year. If he starts out 1-3, 1-4, which, don't be surprised to see him gone. And that's not something the Bengals organization normally would do, but this is a critical time in this organization's 50-plus year history, man. We got to get going. We got to get on the right track here, because there was something we looked at today, the 2015 draft. There's one player left from that 2015 draft on this team, and that's when you miss on your 1 and 2 pick with your right and left tackle, and that's when they got rid of Andrew Whitworth. Man, you just dug yourself 2 or 3 year hole, and that's what's happened, man. We've had some, like in that 2010 to 2013, 14, they nailed the draft, man. They were deep, they were playing well, going to the playoffs every year. We've had 2 or 3, 4 years of our drafts not going well. I think they nailed the draft last year. Actually, PFF just put out the number 1 team in the NFL with rookie class for 2020. They've got to have another free agency like they had last year, and they need to nail this draft this year. I'm excited. The arrow is pointing in the right direction, but man, Zach Taylor's on the hot seat already.
I mean, makes me feel good to know other people are having rough drafts, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. That's
I know
what
we can say the 2017, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Our drafts have not been good as the last couple of years. But obviously you said you've been a fan like your whole life, and you've been going to the tailgate since 1993. But Andy Dalton was there for a large chunk of time. How has it been to watch games and know that Andy Dalton's not coming back the next week or something like that?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, man. And the fan base is really divided on that here. If you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, the fan base is really divided. There's a lot of people upset that he left town. It's not Andy's fault. It's the offensive line. It's ownership. It's the coach. I'm going to tell you where it is, and flat out factual. Andy Dalton was a very good quarterback. Good. No worse, no better, no worse. He was good. He needed to have all the pieces around him. He needed a upper echelon offensive line. He needed to have a good supporting cast around him in the skill position players. If all the stars and moons align right with that, he is going to be really freaking good because he's a good quarterback. Now, I was one of the ones kind of leaning, would be Andy coming back if we improve things. But, man, I tell you what, to have Joe Burrow in here before he got hurt and to see some of the things that Joe Burrow was doing, not extending plays trying to rush for 100 yards a game, him just extending plays, looking downfield, Andy would have thrown the ball away 90% of the time in those scenarios. But to watch Joe Burrow, I'm like, man, Andy did great things here in the city on the field, 5 straight playoff runs from as soon as he came in the door, him and AJ together. But, when you have a quarterback that only gets you so far, that was Andy. He is average, a little bit better than average, and that's it. But the things that Joe Burrow was doing was like, wow. I mean, we wouldn't have been in some of these games if it wasn't for Joe Burrow, what he was doing, extending these plays. So he's a special guy, man. And Andy's going to be a quarterback in this league for several more years. If not a star, he's a backup quarterback in this league, in my opinion. Great guy, a lot of stuff in this community, charity wise. Great man and his family. So I'm kind of, I don't like that he's gone, but I'm glad we got Joe Burrow here, guys. It's fun.
Yes, yeah, I think you guys were in that position. You were in that unique situation that you were either going to keep kind of going with what you had. You know what I'm saying? You were going to see if Andy had another 2 or 3 years and keep trying to build around him, or you were going to take that shot and try and get a generational talent. I think you guys, you went that way with the coach, and you went that way with the player, obviously, taking Joe Burrows. You kind of went younger and try to just restaff everything, retool everything. It's crazy because the more that I do these, the more similarities I see beyond like this top. And I guess you don't get to the top 6 for no reason, right? I guess we all kind of have the same, type of issues. So with that being said, what are some of the issues that you see with this team? What are some of the things that you want to, correct?
I lost you just for a second, but I think I heard what you were saying. So, I mean, the glaring issues right now on this team, and I'm going to start, and unfortunately, it starts up front for every damn football team, right? But our defensive line was the worst in the NFL getting pressure on a quarterback this year. We have no edge rushers. We got Carl Lawson. That's it. Sam Hubbard does a decent job. He's an adequate defensive lineman in this NFL. But, with Geno Atkins not playing most of the year, being injured, Mike Daniels being injured most of the year, I'm dropping a name here, DJ Reader, a big free agent pickup for us last year, didn't play most of the year. When he was in there, he made a huge impact. We got to get the middle of that line side. We need another edge rusher. On defense, our biggest issue, linebacker core really young, a lot of athletic linebackers who got really good towards the end of the year. Number one pressing issue on that defense is that defensive line, especially the edge rushers. And then Joe Burrow not playing most of the second half of this season is because of that offensive line. And I think we've got 2 or 3 guys that are adequate starters in the NFL. Jonah Williams played very well. He got hurt even late in the year, our left tackle that we drafted a couple years ago. He's legit. He's a solid left tackle in this league. Center's good. Our right tackle, Bobby Hart, is average at best. And we had really major problems on the interior at the guard position, and that's where you saw Joe's injury. When Michael Johnson at left guard got kind of lifted up and kind of, Michael Jordan kind of grabbed, and they kind of both fell into Joe's leg. And that offensive line and defensive line are pressing. And when we get to our draft pick here, guys, we're going to have to address one of those 2 needs for sure. But those 2 things, I think we got enough skilled position players there. Joe Mixon back there healthy, running back depth there, receiving depth very good. Our secondary is one of the best in the NFL. We got the best safety in the NFL. Our linebacker needs to continue to get better. They've been a huge improvement from the year before. Our biggest issue, offensive line. We need a couple spots filled there, starters, and we need an edge. We need an edge rusher. We need somebody to rush the quarterback on that D line.
Eagles fans are sighing a little bit. Eagles fans are like, oh, maybe there's.
But with that being said, but if they address some things in free agency here, this draft pick might be interesting for the number 6 pick for you guys.
Correct. Yeah,
I got my pick right here. I told you I had 2 in mind. I'm just telling you, it's going to be interesting.
Free agency is not going to be too interesting for the Eagles. We have no money, 0 cap, negative cap. It's going to be a disaster. But I know you just touched on the receivers a little bit. I like Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd to me is a nice young receiver. But as you guys moved on for Dalton, do you keep AJ Green or do you keep riding him out and just wait till the wheels fall off and he retires as a Bengal?
But my opinion, which I hope I'm wrong in this, I think AJ's gone. Now they paid AJ on a 1-year deal last year, like $19 million. I think the organization and AJ were going to be parting ways. But if AJ stays, it's going to be at a big cut. It's going to be a $6-7 million contract somewhere if he's here. Can't pay him $19 million last year. Now what's interesting about AJ, man, he did every game. He still demanded a number 1 corner on the other team. He was still getting safety shade in his way. Okay. Now, when he did have his one-on-ones, there were times where maybe he wasn't getting the separation like he used to. But his skill set does play into his early mid-30s, man, because he's a great route runner, great length, his catch radius. I mean, he's legit. So if AJ is not here in Cincinnati, AJ will be playing somewhere in the NFL, and somebody's going to pay him. So I hate it, man, because AJ and Andy coming in that same time in 2010 as Carson went out the door and Chad was going out the door. Those 2 came in the rookie seasons, just connected and went to the playoff their first year and went 5 consecutive years to the playoffs. Now, we didn't win a damn playoff game, but we went. So you got to understand, a Bengal fan's rough, man. I know Philly feels like it's rough, man. I got 4 boys, man, and none of them ever seen a Bengals win a playoff game. It's been 29 years, almost 30 years we haven't won. It's the longest streak in NFL history, no playoff win. So it's rough here in the Natty, man.
I got love for the Bengals. And even like I said, all the similarities are kind of striking at this point because it's like I didn't realize how close the needs are for a lot of these teams. So with that said, like let me ask you this. I know it's probably going to be a little hard to say. You did say that if Zach Taylor doesn't do well this year, it might be outs for him. How close do you think this team is? Do you think they are just a good draft and free agency away, or do you think it's a little bit more than that?
rainbows and unicorns for me. I have to have that outlook, man. But I'll tell you, they spent $150 million in free agency last year, which is totally not typical of this family-run organization here in Cincinnati. And they had some big names come in, Mackenzie Alexander, DJ Reader, and they got a bunch of great guys on defense. Hardly any of them played. They were hurt. Every one of these guys they got in free agency. Xavier from Zufulo from Dallas, the offensive line was going to be our starting guard, hurt. So they just had a really bad luck last year getting that free agency. Had some great players coming in, and hardly any of them played. Most of those guys are under contract for next year. They need to have, in order for this to succeed for them, they've got to have a free agency offseason like they did last year. Get some big names in here, fill some holes in key positions. If they can do that and nail the draft, which I feel confident they did this past year, guys. I think there's a possibility there's a playoff. There's a lot of holes to fill, guys. Realistically, probably 2 years away. But if we can nail free agency and nail the draft again, the AFC North is probably one of the more difficult, toughest divisions to play in right now. But I think you're going to see the changing of guards with Pittsburgh on the outs, and I can't believe Big Ben's coming back. So I think we're not as bad as our record shows. We had so many injuries. Now, again, every team has the injuries, but I don't think we're that far away, guys. I really think if we can nail the draft, the free agency, and nail the draft again, and we stay healthy, even somewhat healthy, I think we're making a run for the playoffs in the AFC North.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the AFC North, because the Browns have been historically bad. As a Cincinnati fan, just kind of all of a sudden being, I don't want to sound bad, but kind of like the worst in the division, because like you said, all the injuries and stuff. How does it feel to like see the Browns like do as well as they kind of did for the Browns?
You just, I don't get upset about a lot of things until you bring that up.
We're trying to keep that fear, Brandon. Come on.
But I just want to let you know, man, we don't call them by their name. It's the city up north. And they're no longer in Ohio. We traded them to Canada for a 6-pack of Molson and some maple syrup. So they're not even in Ohio anymore. We left Canton, but we gave them away. Cleveland's been so bad for so long. I mean, really long. It's a damn shame they won a playoff game before we did. But
like I said, I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Now all of a sudden, Browns fans are everywhere. You've never seen it before. But no, it's cool, man, because it took them a long time. I still say their quarterback isn't great. He isn't bad. He's better than what they've had. But boy, they've surrounded him. He's an Andy Dalton type quarterback with the right people around him. That offensive line solid. They got the right skill position player, and they got a damn good running game in place there. Defense is, average at best. But I'll be honest, man, I don't think we lost to them 35-30 up in Cleveland. I was up there for that game when Joe Burrow threw 61 passes.
Yeah, that was
35
crazy.
for 61. Didn't throw an interception. Didn't throw a pick. That was a game we should have won. The game here in Cincinnati, we had them beat. We were beating them, and our defense decided, let's let them go down the field in a minute 30 to score a touchdown. So as bad as they beat us twice, I'm telling you, both those games, the one game here in Cincinnati, we should have won.
Right.
Look, I don't want to badmouth because I got a lot of buddies in Cleveland. I mean, city up north. My bad. They're not as good as a team as you think. I'm just telling you, they're good. They're good. They're legit. And they're built. They're built for the future as well with that offensive line and stuff. But when you got that guy behind center, I'm sorry, man. Unless that running game's working, if it running game's not working, and you got to rely on him to win a game, it's going to be an issue for him. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I've told a lot of people that running game, you got two running backs that could go for 200 yards any given game. Like you have two top like 6-7 running backs on one team.
Yeah,
I mean, all you got to really do is turn. I could turn around and hand the ball off.
We would be good quarterbacks in that system. I'm just saying. We wouldn't get called at Cheesecake Factory either. I'm just saying.
I would say
we won't go to that. We won't go to that story. I'm just saying.
So to keep it on draft talk a little bit, to keep it on the draft talk. If you guys are at 5, obviously you're at 5. I don't know how many draft picks you guys have in the first couple rounds, but how inclined are you to take some phone calls and possibly move back? Or do you think that you have to take someone at number 5?
I think it really depends on what happens in free agency. I really do. I mean, I'm going to sit here and give you a pick when you tell me to give you a pick, right? But I'm going to do this based on some assumptions, but it really depends on what happens in free agency. Because to be honest, if the guy they want is going to be gone and they do some things in free agency, I could see them sliding down 4 or 5 spots and still getting one of the other guys they want. Now, again, understand the history of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's not something they typically do in that high of the run. They've done it before, but it's very rare that the Bengals organization would do that. They're going to take the calls. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens, man. I don't know. I would just love to be a fly on the wall of the draft room and then right to see the boards, right? So just like all of us with our favorite team. But I think depending on how free agency goes, and I think there's a possibility that could happen if their guy's not there.
Okay. And go ahead. Oh, no, I was just going to say, because what we've been asking people is obviously right before you make your pick, what is something, if you guys stay at the 5 spot, that you don't want to see the Bengals do at that 5 pick?
Man, you just stumped me on that one. I don't want them to reach for somebody. I mean, I guess that's what every answer should be if you're asking that to a fan of a team, right? They need somebody to come in and start, whether that be in the D line, at the wide receiver position, or on the offensive line. That pick, even if they slide down to 10 and make a trade there, it's got to be somebody that can come in and contribute immediately first year. That's where I'm at with it.
I hear that.
I think that, all right. So before we ask you the pick, we'll get to what the people want. Like we said off camera, you guys have a lot of connections to a lot of different types of players, a lot of different, positions. So you can go, like you said, you can go edge rusher, you can go D-line, you can go defense, you can go offense, you can go wide receiver weapons, you can go shoot. You can go whatever you want to do. You can go offensive line. I think that's where a lot of people have you slated to pick. But you do have a lot of options, and you went over a lot of different needs that the Cincinnati Bengals need. So let's hear it. Who are you thinking the Bengals are going to go with? Because I know everybody's waiting with bated breath at this point.
All right, Philadelphia. So you understand Joey B and Jamar Chase have that connection, right? You know what they did a couple years ago.
Yep.
Man, how do you pass that up, man? With AJ Green being gone. But hold on. I mean, that's a tough one because I know Joey's been in the local media here talking about it, right? Like, I'd love to have him. One of those. I was like, oh shit, But let's talk about it. So here's what I think is going to happen. Love Jamar Chase, man. Love him. You've got 3 offensive linemen in free agency. The Bengals need to land one of these guys. You've got Trent Williams, who's a tackle out there. Joe Tooney, who's a guard, who's from the Cincinnati area, a little bit north of Cincinnati. He's openly said he'd like to come back to the Natty, but he's going to demand the most money out of any of these offensive linemen out there. You're going to pay that much money for a guard? Don't know. And Brandon Sharif, another guard out there as well. My opinion is the Bengals are going to land one of these 3 guys in free agency. So that leaves us. Do we pick an offensive line? Do we go Penei Sewell, or do we go Jamar Chase with that pick? So when they get one of these 3 guys, let's say it's Joe Tooney or Trent Williams or Brandon Sharif here, we still go Penei Sewell, guys. We go with Sewell. We need more than one. I don't think they're going to pay the big bucks for 2 offensive linemen to get 2 starters in free agency. You know what? None of these picks are like automatic lock Hall of Fame picks, right? Because Sewell, you got to look at it, man. He plays in the Pac-10, didn't play this past year. I mean, there's no edge rushers that come out of the Pac-10. There's just not. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But this dude, I mean, if you read, I mean, so that's one of the things about it is like, is it competition level? Does it really make him a top 5 pick for us, man? But I think the upside there and all the other things you read about him, and you can go back and look at the drafts all those years. You hear all the good and bad about these players. I mean, you hear a lot of people talking crazy stuff like a generational player at tackle. And we can't miss on this pick, guys. But that's our pick, man. The Bengals number 5 pick Sewell out of Oregon. And Jamar Chase, I love you, man, if you're in Philadelphia, but I'm just going to tell you the wide receivers, not that they're a dime a dozen. Chase is a legit wide receiver. There are other receivers that can come in here and help us in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. But I think that's where the Bengals go. And that's even if they get a starting offensive lineman free agency. It's my take.
like
I don't know.
that pick.
Yeah.
I like that pick. And Penny, I feel like Penny, his technique might save him, just because, like you said, he hasn't had to go against the best, competition. But between his technique and his athleticism, I can see why the ceiling is so high for him. I agree. I think, even if it's Rashawn Slater, I think that's his name, Rashawn Slater, the other offensive tackle that's coming up. I know he's starting to, kind of race up boards. Even if it's somebody like him, I definitely see you guys going offensive line. I'm going to say this before you give your take, Brandon. If there's ever a profession that needs to have climactic build, and I was sitting here what is he going to pick? I had no idea. That was so emotional for me. But that's a really good pick. What do you think, Brandon? How do you feel about that?
I agree. I think Cincinnati if you're going to ask Joe Burrow to throw so many times a game, even though that game was probably an anomaly, throwing 60 times, you still need to ensure that he's protected. And the fact that he went down the way he did in this season, that wasn't even the first time he got hit. There was the big hit against the Eagles when we played, where he was like, "Oh, I'm going to learn to go down now."
And there was no flag on that play. Should have been a flag.
I mean, it is
that game was so weird. That game blew my channel up. Actually, that was the game that I did that rant about. Halftime, I gave up on Carson Wentz. I did a whole rant. People hated me. It was hilarious. I took the video down for 20 minutes because it was and people were coming at me so hard. It was funny though. But that's what you do when you're a fan, I guess.
It is funny. What is the last two times, or at least the one when we played Philadelphia here in Cincinnati, I was at. It was McNabb was quarterback, and the Bengals we tied, and we're I'm sitting here, what? And then McNabb was like, "What do you mean we don't play another overtime?" McNabb didn't know the game was over with. He had no idea the game was over with. I felt the same way.
Lord. It's funny. I wonder what the percentage of that actually happening if you tie one team once, if that's going to happen again later down the line.
Yeah, I've been to too many damn ties in my life. I went to London in 2016. The Bengals played the Redskins. We go to London and tie. Man, I flew all the way back from London. It was a soccer score.
At least you could be mad if you lost, or you're happy if you won. You don't know what to be. You're just
indifferent.
Yeah. Hey,
all right,
a soccer game.
So the Cincinnati Bengals take Penny Sewell. I know
Dude,
that
I wanted Jamar Chase, man. I wanted Chase, man. The right thing to do here. I wanted Chase. But dude, if they get two of these guys in free agency, man, I don't know. Chase would be on the board at 5. Now, we got to be a lot. Yeah, you got to be concerned though too. If you guys want Chase, man, you got to watch the Dolphins. You got to watch. There's a still possibility he could go to the Dolphins up there. So who knows?
Yeah. See, me personally, I still want Micah Parsons. I know nobody agrees with me. I've slowly gotten Brandon on my side of wanting Micah Parsons, but I know everybody wants, Jamar Chase. Spoiler alert for everybody waiting for the number 6 pick. It's most likely going to be Jamar Chase. I already see it coming, but it is what it is. I wouldn't be mad either way, man. But so the Cincinnati Bengals take Penny Sewell, man. This is going to be fun. I'm excited to see this draft. I definitely am. But before we get out of here, is there anything you want to tell these guys before you get out of here, Jim? Where they can find you, how to,
Oh man, just look, man. We are fans of the NFL and fans of the Cincinnati Bengals, man. We got about 10,000 followers on Twitter. It's at Bengals Jim. Before the Roar Tailgate Experience, or just put Bengal Jim _BTR before the Roar. A lot of followers on Facebook, YouTube channel we're building up. So we're having fun out here, man. We'll follow us. We'll follow you for sure, man. And you guys ever need anything from me, man, just let me know, man. I appreciate being with you guys today.
Appreciate it.
Definitely an honor, man. And we'll have all your links in the description so people could definitely go check you out. It's been a lot of fun being able to meet all these new people. And I'm sure closer to the draft, maybe we can, get together again, see how we're feeling about our picks.
And then let's do it after the draft to see how we're feeling about our picks.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, Brandon says, "Oh man, me and him are terrible at predictions." So. We're going to be wrong about everything.
When we drafted Hurts. Oh Lord.
We would have 1 million subscribers by now.
Yeah.
But either way, man, I appreciate you coming on here, and everybody that is, tuned in. I appreciate you guys. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, check the links in the description so you can go check my guy Jim out and go support, because that's what this is all about. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here.
Who day, baby.
Eagles fans everywhere, this